the FBI investigates the motive of the gunman who went on a shooting rampage at 2 military facilities in Tennessee. How women in the workplace are transforming the mining culture in South Africa. And 2 superheroes go head-to-head in a buzzy new movie trailer and set social media on fire. Africa 54 starts right now.
Good evening, I'm Lenore Moudou. This is Africa 54. Vincent Makori is off today. We'll have more on the ambush shooting of U.S. Marines at a Tennessee military facility in a moment. But first, twin bombing attacks shattered the evening calm in the northeastern Nigerian town of Gombe late Thursday, killing at least 50 people. The first bomb went off at a populated footwear shop, and a second blast was detonated just minutes later. The marketplace was crowded with customers doing some last-minute shopping on the eve of the Eid festival, marking the end of the Muslim fasting month of Ramadan. A witness told Reuters they saw people on the ground burned, and then people started running. The cause of the blasts is still unknown. However, initial reports say they may have planted the device inside a plastic bag. No one has claimed responsibility for the assault, but Boko Haram militants are the suspected culprits. The group has killed hundreds in bombing and attacks since the May 29th inauguration of President Muhammadu Buhari, who has promised to crush violence that has plagued the country. The U.S. has condemned the bombings in northern Nigeria in a statement issued by the State Department. It says, in part, the United States offers its deepest sympathy and condolences to the families and friends of the victims of the attacks yesterday and today at a market in Gombe and a prayer grounds in Damaturu in northern Nigeria that took the lives of at least 60 people and injured dozens more. We strongly condemn the attacks and reiterate our commitment to help Nigeria and its neighbors counter Boko Haram, both through bilateral assistance and through support to the multinational Joint Task Force. Back here in the U.S., the FBI is heading the investigation into the background and motive of the shooter who ambushed 2 Chattanooga, Tennessee military facilities. The rampage killed 4 U.S. Marines. The FBI agent in charge of the probe says investigators cannot yet say whether the gunman has ties to any terrorist group. VOA's Esther Gitui-Ewert reports.
We are just beginning this investigation. We will explore that option, but at this point we don't have anything that directly ties him to an international terrorist organization.
Reinhold said investigators have no idea why 24-year-old Mohammed Yusuf Abdulaziz went on a rampage, killing 4 U.S. Marines and wounding 2 other servicemen in the shootings. The gunman was also killed. Police stormed his house in Hickson, Tennessee, just across the Tennessee River from Chattanooga, looking for anything that may explain his actions.
We are checking every possible place that he could reside or could have resided, visited, where he's shopped, where he went to school, who his friends were, if he worked out at a gym, every possible lead. So we have information that he's been in various locations, and we will check each and every one of those.
Authorities say the gunman wounded a Marine Corps recruiter during a drive-by shooting, then drove about 10 kilometers to the Navy Operational Support Center, where witnesses say he shot and killed 4 Marines and seriously wounded a sailor. U.S. authorities are increasing security at federal facilities following the shootings. President Barack Obama promised a thorough and prompt investigation, but said his main message right now is one of sympathy for the slain servicemen and their families. Esther Gitui-Ewert, VOA News, Washington.
For more details on the Tennessee shootings, VOA's Carla Babb joins us live via Skype from the Pentagon. Carla, what more our military officials are saying about these shootings?
Well, right now, officials are still cautioning that there is nothing at this point that has tied the shooter to any sort of terrorist organization or any sort of Islamic extremist organization. Right now, right here at the Pentagon, General Ray Odierno, who is the chief of the Army, has called on an investigation into the security of these recruitment centers. The shootings did not happen on a secure base. The shootings happened at a recruiting center that was in a strip mall, and then at an operational center for the Navy that was also not on the base. So the Army and others are looking into, is this a safe environment, and what more will need to be done security-wise to protect our service members?
So at this point, what do we really know about the shooter, Muhammad Yusuf Abdulaziz?
Well, the shooter is a 24-year-old. He was a 24-year-old. He was an Arab American. He was born in Kuwait, and he had lived for many years in the United States outside of Chattanooga, Tennessee. He was considered a nice, quiet guy by friends. He was a wrestler. He had graduated from college. Recently, he had made some changes. Some of his friends had noted that he had gone from being clean-shaven to having a beard. He had gone from recently regularly attending a local mosque. But even still, no one says that there was any notice of any sort of extremist activities. Recently on a blog, he posted in July that life was bitter and short. But so we can't decide at this time. There's no way to determine whether or not he was just a disgruntled American or he had some sort of ties to other groups.
So at this point, there are many unanswered questions. But what are investigators focusing on really?
Investigators are focusing on the motive. This is a clear-cut situation where there have been 4 Marines that have tragically lost their lives. They know who the shooter is. The shooter has now been deceased. He was shot by local authorities. So that is off the table. We know who committed the crime. We don't know why he did it. So investigators are trying to figure out what was happening in the last days of this 24-year-old. What made him go out and shoot people that, as far as authorities know at this point, he didn't even know.
So what can you tell us in terms of the type of security that are in place in military recruitment centers?
Well, Colonel Steve Warren explained this to me late last night. He's a Pentagon spokesperson, and he says that these are not facilities that are guarded, that have gates, that have any type of armed people there protecting them. They're not set up that way. They're recruiting centers. This is a place where young men and women can come to learn about the Army, the Navy, the Marines, the Air Force as a career. So it has to be open and accessible to the public. So the General Ray Odierno was warning, we do have to look at the security, but we have to make sure, the Army has to make sure that if you add additional security, that it's not doing more harm than good for the services.
Absolutely. Carla, thank you so much for your reporting.
Thank you.
And that was VOA Pentagon correspondent Carla Babb reporting for us live via Skype. Now, the world is mourning the 298 people that died 1 year ago today when Russian-backed separatists in eastern Ukraine allegedly shot down a Malaysian passenger airline. The tragedy still hangs over the ongoing conflict. VOA's Al Pessin has more from London.
The Malaysian Airlines jumbo jet was on a routine flight from Amsterdam to Kuala Lumpur when a missile turned it into burned-out wreckage scattered across farm fields in a separatist-controlled area. The passengers and crew members from 10 countries became victims of a conflict they had nothing to do with. Their deaths did not end the war, but they did change it.
I believe that it was an important turning point because it rallied all Europeans behind an escalation of the sanctions.
Experts reached via Skype said European countries had been reluctant to confront Russia over its involvement in eastern Ukraine, but that changed when the Malaysian plane went down.
The tragedy really did influence everyone's thinking on how we could sort of go further with Russia.
The sanctions and diplomacy that grew out of the tragedy also did not end the conflict, but they may have helped prevent a further escalation.
This, I think, explained why the situation now is not ideal, but it hasn't yet escalated further.
Negotiations in Minsk, spearheaded by the French and German leaders, led to a shaky ceasefire. But Western and Ukrainian officials say Russia continues to supply and train the rebels.
You're seeing now that Russia itself may not know actually how to get out of this situation.
Some say the situation in eastern Ukraine is a frozen conflict, but others warn it could flare up again easily.
If there is another accident of any sort involving civilians on either side of the kind we saw with the Boeing, then we might see a significant escalation and a significant change.
The downing of Malaysian Flight 17 is still a force in the Ukraine conflict, but that must seem fairly insignificant when seen from Kuala Lumpur, where the families of 43 of the victims gathered this week for a memorial service. Al Pessin, VOA News, London.
We want to know what you think about Africa 54 and the stories we cover. Join the conversation on Facebook. The address is Africa54, and check out our headlines 24/7 on voaafrica.com. Coming up, a couple of Nigerian teens and their ingenious app. Stay with us.
Science and technology, here's what's new.
What's new? They're called rate-actuated straps, and they could dramatically decrease brain injuries, the kind American football players suffer. Eric Wetzel is with the U.S. Army Research Laboratory.
So we envision integrating these straps with the head system so that before the head strikes the ground, the straps will slow down that head motion, sort of like a shock absorber.
These straps are made with a viscous fluid that allows the straps to remain flexible at low-velocity contact with the helmet, but they become far less elastic with higher velocity contact.
It's this elastic material that has this very special property that if you pull slowly on it, it's easy to stretch and it relaxes again, but if I jerk it quickly, it resists with much more force.
Once this technology is available to athletes, the trick is to get them to actually use it.
It also has to be comfortable to wear. You have to be able to put it on and off quickly, and frankly, it has to look cool.
For VOA's What's New, I'm Todd Grosshans.
Welcome back. South African female miners are transforming the industry's traditionally macho culture since the ban on women miners was lifted nearly 20 years ago. But sexual harassment remains a problem. VOA's Caroline Turner tells us more.
Deep underground, Bernice Moziola, a 33-year-old mother of two, represents a quiet revolution, transforming the macho culture of South African mining. As shift supervisor, she leads a team of 22 workers at the Anglo-America's Bathopelli Platinum Mine. She recalls the difficulties she encountered when she went down into the pits for the first time 13 years ago.
The men, they didn't like us. So they were telling us straight away that this is the man world, we don't know what you are looking for, and then now you said it's 50-50, you'll do this, you'll do half, I do half. And mind you, the first day or second day, it won't be easy to work like him. So actually you won't enjoy your job, because now you will sweat, and then if you don't do that, yeah, we told you, they will discriminate you.
Women have only been allowed to work in the mines since 1996, after an apartheid-era ban was lifted. Today, 15% of the employees are women. More than 3,000 of them work underground for Anglo-American Platinum, South Africa's largest private sector employer, and they seem valued by their CEO.
There's lots of work where women are really good. Driving equipment. Often women are better operators of equipment than men are. They're more conscious, they're more diligent, they look after the equipment better. So there are jobs that are naturally, that women are actually better at than men.
Dangers abound when you're traveling 350 meters underground, and for women, the risk of sexual harassment makes it even more difficult. In 2012, a female miner was raped and killed in another Anglo-American mine. And in March, a woman was sexually assaulted in the changing rooms of Bathopelli.
I was like shocked and didn't trust this environment anymore, like working alone, what if this happens? So it really had an effect on me as a woman, working as a supervisor, whereby in some other places I must walk alone. What if somebody just show up and I don't know the person? So yeah, it did affect me.
Safety was reinforced with surveillance cameras and biometric identification, and in general, female miners now feel more comfortable doing their job.
Up to now, so far, I haven't had any problem working here. The men I work with behave well.
Bernice and Nozuko both want to become mine overseers, an ambition that would have seemed inconceivable just a few years ago. Carolyn Turner, VOA News.
Now, 2 Nigerian teenagers have created a mobile web browsing app that they say is faster and more easily accessible on lower-end phones commonly available in Africa and other developing countries. Here is VOA's Pauline Diho.
Anis and Osen Aikianusimi are teenage brothers living in Lagos, Nigeria. Like many children their age, they spend a lot of time on social media and browsing the net. But the 2 boys decided to do much more. They developed their own browser known as Crocodile Browser Lite.
I had like a small phone at the time when we started learning how to code, and Google Chrome, that was like the main browser on the phone, and it wasn't really functional for me. So I decided to make something that can work for myself.
The brothers told themselves how to code when they were 12 and 14 years old, respectively, using free online resources and reading books. Now 16, Onisa says that they are all so motivated by a desire to help people who are passionate about developing the IT industry in Nigeria.
I just want to solve problems that people have, to make people's life easier and better.
Industry analysts have long hailed the explosive growth of mobile telecom technology in sub-Saharan Africa. 635 million subscribers by the end of 2014, climbing to 930 million by the end of 2019, according to a report published by the communications provider Ericsson. But those numbers can be deceiving. Development in the mobile and IT sectors depends on the quality of mobile phone connections, subscriptions, and the infrastructure. The percentage of mobile devices that can run sophisticated games and applications on existing networks is low. Anis and Osen see an opportunity for new innovative technology. They say Crocodile Browser Lite is faster than more conventional browsers like Google's Chrome, and can be supported on low-end phones common across Africa. Despite their early success, Chukwuemeka Afibo, program manager at Google Nigeria, cautions that Anis and Osin need to further improve their browser if it's to become more globally competitive.
This is going to obviously drive a lot of downloads at the initial stage. However, I would like to take this opportunity to pass a message on to the people, the boys who build this browser, that they should keep working on it and keep improving it, so that even beyond this stage where there's a lot of publicity around it, people will then get hooked on the browser because it's either superior or there's something it does especially well.
Anis is about to graduate from secondary school and is hoping to go abroad to further his education in IT. Both brothers have developed a fan base among their peers.
They see me as this smart billionaire entrepreneur kid, not knowing I don't make any money from this, and I'm just the same as they are. There's nothing special about me.
Their teachers, however, believe that it's Anis and Osen's work ethic that sets them apart. Nwachukwu Sylvester is an assistant principal at the school, and he also teaches the young brothers.
They are very inquisitive. I teach one of them, the younger one is in my class, and he's very, very good, very agile, answers questions, and does a lot of research work.
Anis and Osen began their coding journey with an encouragement from their parents, who introduced them to computers at a very early age. Paul Ndiho, VOA News.
It's time now for a short break. Still to come on Africa 54, superheroes do battle in a 1-2 movie punch. We'll be right back.
it of the concern and care that has been expressed for him.
Welcome back to Africa 54. Here is what's trending. One of the biggest trailers shown at Sci-Fi Convention Comic-Con was Batman vs. Superman: Dawn of Justice, which sees two of DC Comics' main players, Superman and Batman, go head-to-head with each other. The title Dawn of Justice refers to the introduction of the Justice League, a team of superheroes which includes Batman, Superman, Flash, Green Lantern, and Martian Manhunter. Warner Brothers, who hold the rights to DC Comics characters, are releasing a number of superhero films over the next 6 years. And in another superhero news, the highly anticipated reboot of Fantastic Four nudged closer for fans of the famed superheroes, with the film's final trailer displaying the foursome's superpower. Marvel's Mr. Fantastic, the Human Torch, The Thing, and the Invisible Woman team up for a cinematic reboot of one of the comics world's most iconic series. Fantastic Four is released in US cinemas on August 7. And finally, you didn't think the saga of Johnny Depp's dogs was over, did you? Depp's wife, actress Amber Heard, has been charged over illegally bringing dogs Boo and Pistol into Australia on a private jet and is due in court in September. Heard faces 2 counts of illegally importing the Yorkshire Terrier into Australia and 1 count of producing a false document. Penalties can range from a heavy fine to more than 10 years in prison. In April, the dogs were flown in on Depp's private jet without being declared to customs, but government officials followed a tip-off after they were seen on the way to a grooming salon. And that's what's trending today. It's time for our sports report, and here is Sonny Young with the sunny side of sports. Sonny?
Hi, Lenore, and sporty greetings once again to our Africa 54 viewers. Let's kick off in Abuja, where the Nigeria Football Federation has named former team captain Sunday Olise as the new coach of the country's national team. The 40-year-old Olise, wearing a suit and tie, looked on proudly at his number 15 jersey. He replaces another former Super Eagles player, Stephen Keshi, who was fired earlier this month. Nigerian football officials say Olise has the qualities to help the Super Eagles soar to great heights. For his part, Olise says it's a great honor to be Nigeria's coach, but he cautions those who may be expecting him to perform miracles.
I'm not coming as a Messiah. I'm not coming as a man who knows it all. I'm not coming as someone who can singularly, alone, just turn Nigeria into Germany. But I'm coming as a man who has come to serve his country and ready to give 150% if needed.
Sunday Olise's immediate challenge is to qualify Nigeria for the 2017 Africa Cup of Nations tournament, which will be hosted by Gabon. Here's a sunny side of sports salute to Sierra Leonean striker Kai Kamara of the Columbus Crew, who is Major League Soccer's leading scorer this season. The 30-year-old Kamara, chesting the ball in the yellow, bagged his 13th goal of the season Wednesday night in the Crew's 1-0 victory over the host, Chicago Fire. It was the first road win of the season for Columbus. Kamara began his MLS career with the Crew in 2006 and then played for 3 other MLS clubs before Columbus brought him back this season. Kai Kamara has also been one of international football's top spokesmen in Africa's fight against the deadly Ebola disease. I'm VOA's Sonny Young, and that's the sunny side of sports. Lenore?
Thank you, Sonny. By the way, love the Nigerian outfit. And be sure to watch the sunny side of sports every Monday and Friday on Africa 54. And that's our show for today. Be sure to watch Africa 54 on our website at voaafrica.com. For more news, tune in to VOA's evening radio show, Africa News Tonight at 1800 UTC, and in the mornings to Daybreak Africa between 300 and 600 UTC, Monday through Friday. Today is Music Makers Friday, so we leave you now with some hot sounds from the Malian duo of Simon and Kendall. Thanks for watching, and good night from Washington.
Music is something that brings people together.
Music educates, it motivates, it's a bridge.
Music.
Ali.
On.
VOA.
qubanaha VOA waxaan ku soo gudbinnaa qubanayaal goosgoosa oo xiisa badan oo ku saabsan arrimaha Soomaaliya, Maraykanka iyo caalamkaba.
haddaba qubanaha VOA-da kala soco website-keenna voasomali.com.
From VOA Learning English, this is the Technology Report.
I'm Milar Sega. I'm the host of VOA's The Correspondents.
A roundup of the world's top stories.
Here's a false choice in more ways than one.
We can't actually put you there, but we can come pretty close. In 30 minutes, we'll show you the world.